What's up guys, welcome to today's video. It's Monday. I'm filming this the same day that it's going up. It's gonna be a pretty laid back video. There's a lot of cars and a lot of projects that I've kind of left you guys in the dark on, and I wanted to just make a quick little walk around and just point at things and be like, this is why we're not doing anything with this, or this is the plans with this. Basically, this weekend didn't really go as planned. It's now Monday and I hate missing an upload day, so I thought I would kill two birds with one stone. Update you guys on the cars and we get an upload. By the way, Mike, I don't know if we'll see it. Huge gator here now.
Really?
Big new boy.
Big boy.
This is like, we had Bill Jr. before. This is like Bill the dinosaur. Like, we'll do a quick scope, see if we can see him before we update the cars. So this week, hopefully, I'll have some, not necessarily car build content, but some cool compound / renovation stuff that has kind of been in the background. I ordered some new equipment, we'll leave it at that, and some cars that we ordered forever ago, or I should say bought at auction in Japan. I'm hoping we'll be able to pick up this week. But in the meantime, let's talk about the cars. White Evo, if you guys remember, the last time I used it was at the track at the firm, and it started having a weird breakup issue. I ended up diagnosing it is not a compression issue. It doesn't appear to be a head gasket issue. We're thinking maybe one of the drivers on the ECU is bad, so we're waiting on someone to send an ECU up for this car to test it, diagnose it, because one plan with the car, the person that I bought this car from forever is planning to come into town and potentially tune my Porsche, and I wanted him to be able to drive the car and experience what it is now based on what he sold it to me as. So I've been trying to put some TLC into this, but until we get the ECU, we don't really know what's going on with it because it's a weird, almost like RPM based breakup, not really boost based breakup. And then once that's solved, I actually have a new turbo for this car. GCG Turbo was able to machine a G25 550 and a G25 660 into a stock placement Evo turbo. So I'm gonna do the 660 on this car, Colette's gonna do the 550 on hers, and then we'll be able to both have data comparing them back to back, and I can see how much better that is than the turbo that's on there now, hopefully improving transient response and making a little bit on the top end. This Evo, I had dreams of doing time attack this year. Now that I'm doing Formula Drift Pro 1, I don't really have the most time for it. I suppose I could start putting some effort into getting the interior dialed in on this, but I've continually set the bar higher and higher with projects that now I don't want to really jump into any of these projects unless I'm really meeting my expectations or surpassing what we did in the last build, and it's making it harder and harder to do little half-ass things here and there unless it's like a crazy build caliber. So for now, this thing is sitting patiently awaiting. It obviously needs quite a bit of work on the interior, making it a little bit prettier than engine stuff. You can tell it's got a leak there. Old tried and true chaser. She's a ripper. Just needs a wash. And I think some coil packs because I stole the good ones from this for the E36. But this car is just the go-to drift car. It's a blast to drive. It's not really the fastest or the most competitive, but she's a good girl. This car, this was the, I think it's 30,000 miles, maybe 60,000 kilometers or something like that. Really, really nice CYM FD. This is going to be the car that will get an engine swap and that we will be fully doing a build on. I know I kind of teased it and alluded to it in the past. I have the engine for this car, but I do not have a lot of the other things around it. I don't think it's going to be the most involved build, and I think it's something that we could realistically knock out in a month or so. But I didn't want to jump into this build until we were properly settled into the compound and kind of had our ducks in a row with FD. So this will probably be the next big project, but for now, she's just chilling. This thing, it's always temperamental. I don't know what the wrong with it. It's throwing error codes and being mad at me. I'm about to just deregister it and let it sit so I can just point and be like, yeah, this was my first car that got me into cars. It never works right, but it should theoretically make 750 horsepower. If you know, you know. N54. This thing looking beautiful. Jeff stopped by and detailed it the other day after the Smokies trip. I'm definitely going to do another trip with it in the fall to the Smokies. I don't know if I'm going to get up to Connecticut to use it this summer. I love this car. I was on the fence about selling it when I got the Turbo S. I'm really glad I didn't. The 992 GT3 RS does interest me if I can get an allocation. I don't know if I would keep this one, if I would sell it, what would happen, but love that car. Great car. Don't plan on tracking it anytime soon, but I do need to order new tires because those are the ones I found out have a little bit too much heat cycling. This thing, we ordered a bunch of suspension stuff for this forever ago. I don't know if it ever showed up. Like, back at the other warehouse, we ordered a bunch of like reinforcements and like new bushings and stuff for the back to stiffen it up so I could hopefully confidently take it on the drag strip without crashing into a wall. I don't know if that ever came. So this thing, we still got to pop those head studs in if we want to turn the boost up. I need to throw a filter on this too because the turbo's been eating a little bit too much dirt and stuff. Then I got to fix the reverse lockout cable that it like pulls out sometimes. It's just an annoying thing. But this car would be very easy to get some content with if we just took it to a drag strip or something. I don't know why I never think of it, but that would be pretty cool to see what it would run. Maybe we'll do that. Oh, I need to put a new hub on it. That was the thing. I don't know if we ever got that or not, but maybe that's something I can knock out quick. There's a lot of things, guys, and I tried to not get too wrapped up with fixing all these little things here and there, because we had so much to focus on between the compound move and FD. I know I'm not saying it as a perpetuating excuse because now we've been here for almost a month, but Formula Drift is like a lot of people's full-time job. So to do that on top of running a Clutch Kickers car, on top of being a YouTuber and trying to do these content cars, sometimes I just have to set priorities. But this thing, I'll be honest with you guys, I got this car. It was supposed to be a drift car. Sorry, no, not drift car, not drift car, not drift car. It was supposed to be a giveaway car. It was timed to be a giveaway car this spring, but again, because of FD and because of the move and everything, I knew that we wouldn't have the time to put into this. And frankly, I would rather put, if we have a spare month, into building a car that I'm going to keep than a giveaway car. So I was supposed to basically build my childhood dream E46 M3, and then I was going to give it away to you guys. I don't know if I'm still going to do that in the future. I'm not going to tell you guys all the parts and plans that I had for this car, but I'll either end up keeping this car because I love it and it's beautiful and they just keep going up and up and up in price, or eventually, if we get enough time, this could potentially be a giveaway car. Moving on, Cream S13, she's a ripper. I want to put some brides in this car, or brids if you want to be grammatically correct, but maybe do like a little refresh. I would love to pull the engine out, refresh the engine bay. Always torn with doing a VVLSR in this thing. It's one of those things where I'd love to put a VVLSR in something, but this car just runs so good and it's perfect for what I use it for, and I don't like fixing things that aren't broken. So maybe sometime down the road, this thing will get a fancy engine, but honestly, I'd rather just leave this, and if I'm gonna put a VVLSR in something, I'd rather do like an S15 street car. This car, I don't know why the I still have it. It's such a good car, but I have no desire to ever drive it or use it. It honestly ends up being the car when someone needs a car to drive, they can just drive it. But I've gotten a lot of offers for asking on this car. I don't know if I ever said this in the video. I paid 50 grand for the car, and that's what I had it listed for. Sounds insane, but when you look at the prices of a USDM, CYM FD, and price out all the stuff of having a brand new LS3, brand new T56 Magnum, there's actually a surprising market for people that want to buy an already swapped FD-RX-7. There's a good chance I'll end up selling it sometime soon because it doesn't really fit in with the collection or anything that I want, but it was just hard for me to get rid of a good working car. I just feel like I'd regret it, even though I've noted. We could put a turbo on it, I guess. Still, it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Originally, this was supposed to be the car that I was going to swap, and the plan was to take the LS out and make all the rotary people happy. Hint, hint. But then it was like a really good working car, and once I figured out that the spark plugs were loose, and then it was just losing a bunch of compression through the spark plugs, and it actually ripped. I have a hard time taking apart a good working car. Moving on, Zeroy. I don't know what to do with this car. I really want to put a rear heat exchanger on it, because right now it just has like an ice box, which works fine for burnouts and it stays cool, but it'd be really neat to use this car for some drift stuff. It actually works super well. I'd love to put it on a standalone because the stock ECU doesn't really do the best job in the mid-range. I find that like transient throttle, it's kind of a bit funky, but I guess it was just tuned kind of as a burnout car, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I have a GK Tech angle kit for this, and I really want to put that on and do some drift stuff with this. I feel like it'd be really fun and ignorant, and it's actually really fast and feels good. So maybe we'll do that. But again, it's hard to prioritize and figure out what to do first with these cars. And like, there's just so many little odds and ends that, honestly, I'm like more hyped on just renovating the compound right now than like fixing a lot of little broken stuff between the cars. That's kind of where my mind is. I've been ordering and spending a lot of time like trying to dial in the lounge. It's comforting knowing that you guys like compound content, and there is a lot of stuff that can and will be going on with the builds, but as of right now, that's kind of where this stuff stands. Now we enter the room of the boxes. Welcome. Ginge borrowed the Z for an OKC comp. He won. His car is a champion. It was funny too. I told him, I was like, it doesn't really drive the best. He was like, yeah, dude, it did not drive the best. Kept going in a limp mode. Still got the win. Miata, I think I already said in the video, that's Colette's to do with what she wants. That's her car. I don't know what her plans are with it. We'll see. And then this Chaser doesn't have an engine because we stole it. Unfortunately, as much as I love this car, it's like the least on my priorities. I'm trying to finish the other builds that are like half started and fulfill obligations and stuff for sponsors that have sent parts for other cars, but this one is just like throw Jay-Z in it whenever we feel like it. This car, I've been waiting for, what was back ordered that I was waiting for on the engine side? There are some internals on the engine that we're just having like supply shortages. So everything's been ready for this. Obviously we had the head a while back. This engine right now has a broken crank, but we were waiting on a couple things for the bottom end, which I think we should have as soon as the next week. Once we get that stuff, we can slap the long block together. Wiring Specialties is making me a new harness for this car because it still has a stock like modified harness. And then this thing should rip. It's like doesn't need a whole ton. Like obviously there's quite a bit that's gonna be changed from this long block to the other long block, but this could be one of those things, once we get the new long block, it could be like a 2 or 3 day build and make this thing even more sick than it already is. This car doesn't really have a purpose, it's just a fun street car, but it's one of my favorites on the channel. It's just a blast to drive, it sounds cool, it's fun, it has AC. That's a great way to stay in shape. And while we're on update mode too, I saw some comments asking about the compound bundle. As far as I understand right now, we have pretty much everything squared away. The only thing we're waiting on is just the shovels, and shipping got delayed a little bit. So we've been sending out update emails, but in case you haven't gotten them, I think it's expected that we'll have them in hand by the end of the month. So walking in here, we got 3 more cars left to update you on. Obviously the E36, we just had an update in the last video. There's some theories going on that's gonna be like a pro spec car or used for something else. It is literally just a clutch kickers car. The thing is, I'm just sick of breaking transmissions and diffs, so that's why it's getting the leftover parts from the 15. Turbo S, no real gnarly insane plans for it right now. I'm contemplating pulling apart the rear deck so I can get these powder coated black, but I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm kind of torn with the idea of selling the car just because the market for these is insane right now. I don't know if it's like a chip shortage or what, but if people walked into a dealer and wanted to order one of these right now, they wouldn't even get them until the end of next year. So the used market for this, I could get between $60,000 and $70,000 more than what I paid. So it's making it really hard to justify still owning the car. But for now, I want to enjoy it a little bit, and then we'll see where it's at and where the market's at in a few months. Celsior, I don't remember if I ever fully went into detail talking about it, but basically I had gotten this car and then I knew that it was going to be tied up for a while when it was getting the transmission replaced and getting PPF, ceramic coating, and all that stuff. And I needed a car to drive because all my other stuff was broken or didn't have AC. So I bought this. Usually the JDM cars hold their value pretty well, and I figured it'd be a useful car to have around. I was gonna like stance it and put it on some wheels and stuff, but then once I got my car back and had the Panamera loaner, I didn't really have a use for it. So wavering if there's a point to keep this or not. I might sell it. A few people have made me some pretty good offers on it, but I'm not attached to it. It's not like it was like a big build plan. It was literally just I needed a car and it made the most sense and I thought it was cool. This car definitely has some odds and ends and stuff that needs to be buttoned up on it. Nothing major, probably requires like a day of on the lift for us to just check over a few little wiring things. And then I'd like to put it back on the dyno with the new trigger settings and everything kind of redialed in. Maybe we'll actually screw with this thing today a little bit. It's not like super content worthy, but I want to get this thing sorted and have some closure for the build. Waiting on a custom catch can that I was having made. I think I'm gonna roll the windows up now before I forget. There's like a few little quirky things going on with like belt squeak and stuff that I need to get figured out. But overall, this thing is pretty dang rad. So overall, I think that's it for this video. I don't know if this was short or long, but hopefully it answered some questions and cleared up some stuff that you guys have been asking. I appreciate your patience and I appreciate you guys understanding when I have to make little videos like this. Also, a quick update on R34 decks. A lot of them were shipped out last week, but today's Memorial Day, which by the way, if you are serving or you have someone in your family, thank you guys for your service. My dad was in the Marines. I know there's a lot of you guys that are stationed over in Japan and other countries that watch the videos. I get to meet all of you guys actually at Ebisu. Thank you. What you do is not taken for granted. 34 decks, sorry, I got sidetracked. Obviously none are shipping out today, so we'll have the rest shipped out in the next day or two. And then whatever we have left over will probably go up Friday, I think is what I said in social media. Usually we get a few leftovers, we order a little bit of a buffer, and then some people end up returning because they don't want to wait. So if you didn't get a chance to score a 34 deck, keep your eyes peeled. It'll probably be Friday at 5 p.m. And until then, I will see you guys on Wednesday. When you say